so when I had just applied to College of the Atlantic, and I knew that I was going to be coming, there's this Facebook group, and it developed, and one of the people in the group had the prompt that all of the people who are coming in this past fall could write down a little blurb about who they were and what they liked, and a lot of them were like, I like purple, and my favorite color is, my favorite color is purple, and I really like dancing under rainbows, or that sort of thing. But there was this one person who was talking about community living and vulnerability, and I stopped scrolling through my news feed, and I kind of yanked my head around and said, "Hey Mom, come over here, read this a second. This is the kind of person that I want to be going to school with." And here they are. They're going to be going to school with me. Their name's Iain. They sound pretty cool. And so, as I have seen Iain flourish here, he has brought that sense of vulnerability and listening and sharing from his heart, and just to show that this is really the way he is, he's been vulnerable enough to invite two of his loved ones to come and share their vulnerability on the stage. And so I invite us all to hold them in that, and also remember the power of truly being vulnerable.
I did not know that story. So thank you for that. This in itself has been a little bit of an experience for me between the rehearsal that we did and now. I wrote out what I planned to say, and then I realized two things. One, that what I had written were things I also needed to learn myself, and that vulnerability is something I struggle with all the time. And also that to read something I had written was to be in opposition to what I wanted to speak to. And so I decided that I wanted to just come up without knowing what I was going to say, and that was going to be being vulnerable and trusting. So bear with me on that one. So in fall of 2016, I'm standing in the New Mexican desert somewhere, and I'm holding a little pile of gray dust in my hands, which is all that is left of the rear brakes in a 44-year-old Volkswagen bus that I'm living with my friend in, and the hope is to live with my friend in this bus for a year in order to show that we can be independent and that we can be self-reliant. And so it's interesting that what failed within the first 2 hours of this trip were the brakes, because brakes represent control and having control of what's going on. And that became the theme of this trip, was not being in control and not knowing what was going on. And then after that, it became the theme of my life. Because when we try to control things, when we need to know, is when problems start to arise. Because in reality, everything that happens is this huge interconnected web of all the people in our lives. And we're reliant on them in ways we don't even realize. And so this idea of trying to be self-reliant, of trying to be independent, is a myth. And it was a myth that this trip disproved for me. when we stand on the side of the road and we start walking and the car stops, we didn't know the car was going to stop. We trusted that the car was going to stop. We trusted that the person inside felt similarly to how we felt, and that they would be willing to let us pass. It's these little tiny things that we trust in other people that we don't realize that we trust. And the more that we trust, the more that we are vulnerable to all of the people that we ever interact with. And we do this every single day with every single person we interact with. We trust them in some way or another. They hold us and we hold them, and we are vulnerable to each other. Nothing happens in a vacuum. Everything happens interconnectedly. And so that actually has a lot to do with giving a talk as well, because as I was trying to prepare for this, I realized that everything that I wanted to say, everything that I was thinking about, the ideas in my head, were a culmination of all the conversations I've ever had with anybody I've ever known, and a culmination of all the conversations that they have had with anyone that they have ever known. And the web just spreads out and out and out and out, and you don't realize that you're actually connected to everybody. And so this talk isn't really my own. It's everyone's, as is everything that we do. And so I would like to end with thanking you all for being a part of this incredible web that is all of our lives, and will continue to be the lives of the people that come after us as well. Thank you.